Welcome to the Echo Essentials podcast.
I'm Dave Dale.
And I'm Chris Piekarski. And on today's episode, we have friend of myself and our family, but CEO of Melanoma Canada, Falyn Katz. We're talking a bit about melanoma and skin cancer in Canada, the difference between Northern Ontario and Southern Ontario, those who work outside, those who don't, and more importantly, the fact that Melanoma Canada has its mobile visiting North Bay next week, 2 days on the 24th and the 25th. So we'll get into all of that in the episode today. But before we get to that, we want to throw it to our title sponsor, the North Bay Regional Health Center Foundation.
Dear North Bay, as a single mom and full-time student, life can feel overwhelming and budgets are always tight. But one thing I never question is how deeply I care about my community. When I began volunteering at the North Bay Regional Health Center, I saw firsthand how much the healthcare system means to people, especially when life takes an unexpected turn. It made me think, what if it was my child, my parent, or my friend that was in need of care? That's when I realized I wanted to do more, to be part of something bigger than myself. I joined the I Give monthly club because even a small monthly gift can have a meaningful impact, helping ensure everyone in our community has access to the care they need right here at home. If you believe in strong, local health care, I hope you'll join me. Sign up at nbrhcfoundation.ca or call 705-495-8125. It's simple and it matters. With gratitude, Kim Cosgrove.
I learned a lot in that conversation.
You did?
Yeah.
Yes.
I learned quite a bit. It was good.
It was, I think the biggest thing that we kind of nearly ended on, and I don't want to give away the whole episode, is that it's a generational change, right? I think people interpret sun protection and sunscreen and the relationship with the sun very differently. And she alluded to some misinformation stuff and without saying explicitly what. But being 33, being a man who just turned 60, I think maybe we had different instilling in terms of what happens in the sun and what we do in the sun at an earlier age, because you're like, oh, I'm all about the layers. I like layers too, but I'm all about SPF, right? Making sure I have the sunscreen proper. But this episode does a really good job of kind of acknowledging all the different ways, including layers, that you can protect yourself from the sun or just general harmful UV rays, right?
Well, that and the fact that it's a different sun than it was when I was growing up, and when in the 70s, it was never this hot and dangerous, I don't think. UV is a bigger issue now because of a change in the atmosphere, I think.
Yeah.
Right? And it's showing in the stats. There's and people are being more guarded now than they used to. So it's something to take serious.
Between the changes of environment, the different habits in which we use and engage with the sun, and I think there's something to it, and Falyn couldn't speak to it necessarily because she's not maybe so much like the science behind that. But we'd be foolish to not recognize the atmosphere, you know, and the ozone and how that's changed and how that interacts with the sun and the UV rays that we receive from the sun. But it was a good episode. It was fun catching up with Falyn. I allude to frequently in the episode my professional relationship with Falyn. I've done some work for Melanoma Canada as a volunteer in terms of fundraising. I'm very proud of what we did.
And congrats for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't have the sheer not raw numbers on that, but I think as I'll just give some bit of context. So my mom and I, who is a survivor and she's doing well, for those who might be wondering, she's doing great. We decided to be the walk coordinators for the North Bay site for the Strides for Melanoma Walk for Awareness campaign, which is a couple different others, like a walk, fundraiser, donate to the charity that is Melanoma Canada, formerly Melanoma Network of Canada.
When did you start doing that?
We started doing that in 2017.
Oh, okay.
And so we stopped being walk coordinators. The event changed, and it's still a great event. Don't make me no mistake, but it's no longer walk region specific. And so when we did it, it's really, really funny. I don't know if Falyn was the CEO at the time. I think they had a different CEO, but when we volunteered, you're going to love this. When we volunteered to help make a walk coordinator or a walk location, they're like, oh yeah, we could, where are you guys at in Thunder Bay? It's like, no, we're a different bay in the north. So we had to do a little bit of familiarity there, but we quickly became I don't want to say rock stars in the network, because we far outpunched our weight. Being one of the smaller cities who got a location, we were pumping out lots of cash for the area. We were routinely out of the 20 or 15 locations, top 4. And we had a lot of people who cared, right? And whether it was family or community members and this is the really important part, is that we were able to kind of build a network with connections with people who didn't know the network existed, and to help them kind of get avenues and help that they didn't know was there before, right? And so just making sure people weren't alone, making sure people had the understanding, the education, the hope that things can get better. That did a lot of work, right? And so the reason why I care so much about this is because I've seen the effects and the positivity that it can create, right? And knowing, my direct relationship with, melanoma, it is very personal, but there's a lot of people I think that can understand that there's different ways in which we can maybe talk about it and engage with the sun. Because you don't have to avoid it necessarily, but you have to deal with it accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just protecting yourself and protecting those around you, and just taking it serious as a potential risk.
Yeah, because I love summer. Falyn is very quick to point out that it's not just a summer thing, but I think we're outside more in the summer, so it's probably maybe more of a heightened risk at large. But
I think we're covered up more in the winter, so we feel more protected, right?
Yeah, that's very fair.
We're exposed on the face, the wind, and stuff like that. Where from what I learned, you got to protect yourself there too. And
you really only have one skin. If it ever gets to the point where you have to go through that, or you go through that, and it progresses to the point where it goes beyond surface level, it's pretty tricky. But Falyn was very quick to acknowledge that the science has been very good in terms of treatment if you were proactive and you catch it early, right? Because melanoma is one of those things. It's one of other skin cancers that if you detect it early, you have a better chance of fighting it, right? And that's why there's a lot of awareness campaigns with Melanoma Canada. There's things like talking about skin visibility, which is what the mobile is great for, because it gets professional eyes in places where it's maybe hard to get that attention, right? And so the mobile, just to kind of bring it to that, because they are visiting town next week. We're recording this on Tuesday, July 15th. This will air on the 17th. So we give a week in advance to kind of help those who might want to see it. It'll probably break news a little bit early. We actually might be a news breaker on this one, because I think it went live on the website yesterday. I was very quick to look into it. But it's going to be visiting. What was it? What was the park?
It's not breaking a news story. We're just helping promote something. There's a big difference between a breaking news story.
Cycle, I guess. Yeah. Not breaking news.
We're getting ahead of the event. We're helping them out.
But we'll have it in the description of the video and everything else. But it's visiting 2 days in North Bay.
Yeah.
And it's free.
It's great to see how energized you are in this topic, and being an activist for an important thing like this. It needs people like yourself to jump in and become well educated and provide energy for it. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. And obviously I'm always down to cover other things, and this just happens to be one of those things that I really know a lot about.
It's close to home, so yeah, you should put your passion into it. Yeah.
Certainly, and you're always kind of rib me for oh, what are you gonna have an opinion on this? Well, I have a very strong opinion on this one, but I'm also and I try to make sure that I never want my lived experience to push into someone else's, right? I want to make sure that anyone who talks to me about this understands the risks, because I've seen it, maybe not directly firsthand, but secondhand. What that can look like and how that can change. And you think it might just be something it's a summer when I was 12. Well, if you keep getting those, your risk increases, right? And so, yeah, we should be more proactive, I think. And there's different ways, whether it is using SPF, whether it is using a thick cotton, whether using branded clothing.
The only advice I would give you is I'd caution you to take the leap into preaching in a cult.
Yeah, of course not. No. You can do whatever you like. I will never force you to do anything, but I will always be careful when it comes to sun protection. Yeah. For sure.
Well, yeah, no judging, eh?
No, you do you. You do you. Just saying, you do you. But the sun isn't going anywhere.
I am a shade guy. I teach guys to golf in the shade side, so just stay away from the sun as much as possible. Even though I'm out a lot, I know the dangers, and I try to avoid them. But I also try to avoid putting cream on my skin. So,
she said,
the layers and shade is going to be my key thing to go forward with.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit on my damaged nose.
I mean, if you're covering everything up, maybe the nose might get a little bit of touch.
Yeah,
right?
I need a little touch on the nose.
But yeah, there's different ways.
Yeah,
there's different ways, right?
So it was a good conversation, and I think people will be informed and appreciate it.
Yeah, so looking forward for you to listen to it and watching it. Let us know what you think, and we'll throw it to us now. on today's show, we have friend and CEO of Melanoma Canada, Falyn Katz. Falyn, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Very good, thank you. It's been a bit of a warm summer. Today we're talking a bit about complexities of the heat and the warmth and the sun, because coming from Melanoma Canada, there's an amazing campaign that you guys run called the Mobile, and they're coming to North Bay next week.
Yes, we are. We're very excited.
So can you tell us a bit about maybe yourself, Melanoma Canada, as we lead up to the Mobile visiting our city and what kind of impact that has? So maybe just detail our listeners a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I joined Melanoma Canada 5 years ago. Prior to that, I was with Prostate Cancer Canada. I've been in the national health charity space now for 15 years plus, working to develop innovative programs and fundraise to hopefully find a cure for these cancers. I've been now breast, prostate, and now melanoma. At least hope that nobody dies from them, and that we can save some lives. And so the Mobile is our latest and greatest in the space, and we have been traveling since 2023 across a variety of different provinces with the goal of detecting skin cancers earlier and educating Canadians on the importance of skin cancer prevention and early detection.
Perfect. And so the Mobile came around in 2023. I've been involved with Melanoma Canada, previously known as Melanoma Network of Canada, MNC, through volunteering and donating and helping out because my family has a very personal connection with melanoma, my mom being a survivor. And so this is, I'm familiar, right? But the Mobile, I think, is a really interesting way to kind of help serve underserved communities, correct? Like the Mobile is designed to have dermatologists and experts kind of go to places where they can't get help. Is that correct?
That's it. So yeah, it's essentially a portable dermatologist office on wheels, but really focused on melanoma and skin cancer. So we bring dermatologists to remote, Indigenous, and underserved communities, as well as to major cities and events where there's a long wait time to see a dermatologist. The goal is not, it's not a permanent solution to the problem. We know that. It's really designed to shine a light on the problem. It's generated a ton of media and awareness from the public to understand the importance of early detection. Most melanomas are detected by patients themselves or by a loved one. And so we really want people to understand what to look for, to look often, so monthly, and if they see something suspicious, to talk to their doctor or healthcare provider, and also to understand skin cancer prevention, because melanoma and skin cancers are one of few that are caused by UV rays from the sun, artificial sources like tanning beds, at least in most instances. And so we want people to understand that these can be prevented, and so to understand the importance of sun safety to prevent skin cancers.
Which part of the list of cities do we have a long waiting list, or are we underserviced? Or
there's fewer healthcare providers. The majority do practice in major urban centers like a Toronto or a Mississauga kind of thing, where there's dozens of dermatologists. In Canada, I want to stress that there are many. There are only 800 in Canada for a population of more than 40 million people now. So most communities don't have. So, we want to make sure that we get out to the north. We'll be in Sudbury as well, just after, and then Parry Sound. So, just to make sure that, we do bring screenings to your communities. We were there 2 years back and did find a number of skin cancers. So we wanted to come back 2 years later and see what we find.
So I know a bit from being a very fair complexioned, freckled person who has, family history with melanoma. But could you maybe describe to our listeners what to maybe generally look out for? I know you're not a dermatologist or an oncologist here, but like, what are some things that we can look out for that might maybe want to have someone visit the Mobile? Is like, what separates between just being a freckle to something maybe more serious?
So we like to call them the ABCDEs, the little acronym of melanoma. So A is for asymmetry. So if a mole is asymmetrical, it's not a perfect circle. B is for border. So if it has a jagged, fuzzy, hazy, or bleeding border. C is for color. So if it's very, very dark, or if it has multiple colors when you look at it. So there's the browns, the blacks, the blues, could be even red. D is for diameter. So typically they're larger than the size of a pencil eraser. E is for evolution. So when you look at your moles, if it changes over time, if there's any crusting or bleeding or itching, those are things you want to be concerned about. But there's also the ugly duckling rule. So for people who have a lot of moles, and you look at them and there's one that kind of just stands out and doesn't quite look like all of the others, that might be one you want to flag as well.
Makes sense. I mean, I'm very conscious of what I have and what I'm looking at, and I follow the same exact rules of, if it's raised, the coloring, the diameter, and they've thankfully all been, not that this is about me, but I'm always looking for myself, right? And I think it's one of those things that as we look towards like self-betterment and self-care, it's one of those things that we have to kind of continue to remember, because especially in the summertime, we're in the sun a lot more. I mean, I know Dave, you work in your yard a lot, and there's things that as we get older we have to look out for, right?
Yeah, I actually a couple times I have a little something on my back that a couple of girlfriends have told me to go ask the doctor about, and they just my doctor took a look at it, and right off the bat he said no problem, but it does get crusty. I can reach it and scratch it, but it doesn't change much. But I've had a couple people look at it and they just say it's an ugly little thing, and I haven't had a dermatologist look at it and really have it examined, because it was just sort of flagged as not probably, right? So I don't know. When's the mole mobile come there? How can I get it looked at?
Yeah, the mobile is coming on Thursday, July 24th, and the 25th will be in Sunset Park, just across from Petro's Prime Time Ice Fishing. And we'll be there from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. On both days. So if you wanted to come by and have it looked at, you can certainly have it looked at. So, and I should say, the ABCDEs are how melanoma presents itself, but there are other types of skin cancer that do present differently. Some can be like a pimple that doesn't heal. Some can be just like a white patch of skin. So that's, shiny maybe a little bit. So I recommend, if you see something on your body, your body best, talk to your doctor or health provider. And if you can get in to see a dermatologist, they are the expert. Get in and talk to one.
And speaking about the Momobile's visit, this is free of charge, right? There's no cost to anyone who goes. There's no fee or anything associated. Is there any stipulations to anyone who can go?
No, so there's no fees. You just need to be a Canadian resident. So you just need to show a piece of ID that says you live here. It doesn't even have to be a health card. No, there are no fees. You can pop in for a spot check. So if you have a mole or a lesion that you're concerned about, they can look at, one or two, or they can do a full body scan, which means you get undressed, put on a gown, hop in, and they check your body head to toe, literally. So for people who have a lot of spots, that's probably a good idea if you have some time. A typical visit can range anywhere between 7 and 15 minutes, depending on if you're doing a spot check or a full body screening. There's just a couple of papers to fill out in advance, so if you a little bit of paperwork, and then you can hop on board. We do stay on the road with corporate support as well as individual donations. Chris, you've been a supporter for a long time, so you know that. So if people are willing, Neutrogena is our proud presenting sponsor. We've got Neutrogena sunscreen available for sale on board, which we encourage everyone to partake in sunscreen and key in preventing skin cancer. And so if you can make a donation, great. But if not, it is a no charge service.
I think it's important to talk about SPF right now in terms of it just being a preventative measure, because I think that's from my basic understanding, the first thing you got to do. It's the one thing you got to do, because it can protect you in most instances, right? I think we talk about the summer and how busy we are. I mean, our producer Ben and I, we play softball. We always try to make sure if we go for practice, we have sun protection, SPF, obviously. thankfully play in the evenings, but there is a period and window where you have to be a little more careful. You have to do things that are more proactive.
What's the SPF?
That is it sun protection? I'm going to get the acronym wrong, but it's sunscreen. Ultimately, Falyn, you're welcome.
Sun protection factor. You're close. You're there. You're almost there.
I was so close.
The level of protection. Right?
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
and it protects you against those UV rays that are more harmful. It's always important to kind of remember those things. And I remember in the last couple of years, I've become very diligent because of my family story and history. I used to, as a younger person, kind of like, scoff at the idea of sunscreen because it made me feel uncomfortable. It felt oily. I mean, you have to find something that works for you, especially if that's something that you want to take care of and work towards. But it changes you, right? Like when you kind of see someone go through that. And I know just because of my connection with melanoma, melanoma specifically, in terms of how we identify it and treat it. And that's a bigger research scientific kind of study, but it has changed a lot in the last, I would say, 10 or 15 years, right, Falyn? Like, have you seen a lot from the Melanoma Canada side of things that are suggesting that maybe Canada or Canadians or just in general are getting a little more help?
Yeah, I mean, the treatment options are certainly improving. There are lots for most stages of disease. I think at this point, from stage 2 to stage 4. I mean, the ideal is that we don't need the immunotherapies, right? I mean, they're there and they are allowing patients to live longer and healthier lives. However, the goal is to catch them all at stage 0, if we can, and people have a little scar and that's it. But right now we're still losing 3 to 4 people in Canada every day from melanoma. So prevention is key, and if we can get people to understand, SPF, yes, 30 is minimum, ideally 50 or higher, and reapplying every 2 hours or more often if you're swimming or sweating, and covering up. There's some great hats and UPF apparel, wraparound sunglasses. And then, doing those activities, like you mentioned, your softballs in the evening, it's great, doing them outside of peak UV hours, which are typically, between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. So, doing those early mornings to get in your rides and your walks and, the activities in the evenings, definitely great. And try and do activities in the shade whenever you can. Those are really key things to preventing skin cancers.
North Bay's turning 100, and what a time to be here. From the buzz of the Heritage Parade to sunset concerts at the waterfront, the city is alive with celebration. And you know who's right in the middle of it all? Homewood Suites by Hilton North Bay. We're proud to be a part of this milestone moment. Whether you're coming home from a family reunion, planning a gathering with friends, or just simply making the most of everything the Centennial has to offer, our doors are open. Stay in a spacious suite that feels like home, with a full kitchen to cook in, room to relax, and a space to unwind after a full day of fun. Are you hosting something bigger? Our event spaces and amazing local partners like the Grand and Stock Transportation make it easy to bring people together. Best of all, they're just steps from the action. The fireworks, the food trucks, the music, the laughter, it's all right here. Celebrate 100 years of North Bay with us. Use code Centennial to save on your stay anytime this year. Be at home with Homewood Suites by Hilton North Bay. Join the party today at 495 Oak Street West or give us a call at 705-495-3000.
Spring is here, and that means one thing. Baseball is back. At Source for Sports North Bay, we're proud to be part of every pitch, every catch, and every moment that brings our community together on the diamond. Whether it's outfitting little leaguers for their very first game, helping local teams suit up for the season, or simply sharing a love of the sport, we're here for it. We're more than just a sports store. We're neighbors, coaches, teammates, and fans. And we're proud to support the leagues, schools, and families who make North Bay's baseball scene so special. Wherever your sports journey takes you, make sure you visit Source for Sports North Bay at 1321 Fisher Street so we can help you along your way.
I mean, for me, I think one of the biggest investments in terms of sun protection in the last little while is I was very fortunate enough last summer to get And like for those who know me, like I need these glasses. These glasses, I cannot survive without them. I'm legally required to have them, right? But I got prescription sunglasses, and those changed the game. Like I love those things. I couldn't imagine at this point, because I used to do some ridiculous thing where I used to have like a cheap pair of sunglasses sit over top of my glasses and it looked kind of silly. But like I just wanted that protection, because your eyes, just because they're in your head doesn't mean they're immune to the solar rays or the UV rays. Like you still have to protect a lot of those parts that you think might be, more safe, right? Whether it's your eyes, the back of your head, your fingernails. There's all those little complexities that make things, what might be like, oh, well, it's not my skin directly. Well, it's still susceptible to the sun, right? Or to UV rays. So, but I do want to talk a bit. What was I going to say here? Oh, I actually want to get into how does, Falyn, how do communities reach out to Melanoma Canada to get a mobile visit? Like what has to be done to kind of, if a community is underserved or they don't have, or they have a long wait list, how do they kind of get a visit from the mobile?
So we've planned our route for the year and in previous years. It's planned based on data from a project called the Sunfit Project, which was done out of McGill University by a dermatologist friend of ours, Ivan Litvinov. And it looks at diagnosis of skin cancer by postal code. So we're looking at, and we also have as data on unfortunately mortality rates by postal code as well. And so we're looking at those cross sections of data, along with areas we're proud to partner with the Canadian Dermatology Association as well. And so we also know where there are dermatologists and where there are not. And so we take all of that data, and that helps us to plan our route. If there's a community who would like to reach out to us, we certainly welcome them to email us at info@molmobile.ca. And they can let us know if they're interested in hosting us. We can discuss it for future years. For this year, would likely be challenging to add any more dates. We've got, I think, almost 70 dates planned in Ontario alone. And we're also heading to Quebec. We also have our other Mobile, which is currently in Alberta, and making its way to BC shortly as well.
Yeah, there's some communities in our area that would, and then you're going right by them, that would actually make candidates for future visits. Big farming communities in between around Sturgeon and Verner. They might find something. People, they're actually a little bit more isolated in North Bay people to get in care, but and also in the Powassan area, you have a lot of farmers and people that spend a lot of time outside, and some that aren't really connected, like Mennonites and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you end up touching those communities. But one of the things that came to me when you were talking about that is we have a different degree of sun than other parts of the world, right? Because we're up north. Is there any correlation to skin cancer, depending on how close you get to the pole and equator?
Absolutely, yes. And the environment has played a factor as well. Obviously, the UV rays are stronger, and so yeah. I mean, incidence rates for melanoma have tripled over the last 30 years. I mean, that's not because the environment isn't a factor. It's not because where you're located isn't a factor either. For sure, anywhere where you can get more UV exposure. If we just look at Australia, right? I mean, their rates of skin cancer are way higher. So yeah, definitely is a factor.
Do Southern Ontario people get a higher rate of skin cancer compared to Northern Ontario?
So it depends. I don't know the stats exactly for Ontario, South and North, but I'll tell you, people who are outside more often. So if you live by a body of water, if you're into farming and agriculture, if people who work outdoors, those are factors that definitely put people at increased risk. So the more time you spend outside, the more you're impacted by UV rays. Also, I should mention truckers, people who drive trucks or spend a lot of time in their car, salespeople. The majority of melanomas are diagnosed on the driver's side of the head, the face, the arm, and the neck. So, all car windows are not created equal. So important, even sitting by a window if you're at a desk, making sure your windows are UV protective as well. Sunscreen, we talk about it a lot in the summer, but it's really a year-round thing, right? You want to go skiing in the winter or snowboarding, even biking if people are doing these downhill mountain bike things. Any exposed skin, you think you're getting a windburn, it's really a sunburn. The UV rays reflect off of ice and snow and can actually be more dangerous in the winter than they are in the summer.
Yeah, I ended up pretty well cooked. I was ice fishing in March up in a lake, and it was, we didn't realize exactly how hot it was. We were getting a lot of breeze that was cooling us off, and we all got scorched really bad.
The breeze is deceptive, right? Because you think it's cooler out and you don't feel, the heat on your skin. But like if you can see the sun, even if you can't see the sun, and a lot of times because the overcast, like if the sun is up, right, that peak window,
I still got a mark on my nose from it, so I probably did some damage. Yeah,
it's a little bit of SPF there, maybe
that would have helped.
Maybe, yeah. So Falyn, if I can, what other ways does Melanoma Canada help contribute to raising awareness and helping Canadians, whether in rural or urban community areas and centers?
So from an awareness standpoint, we also have a really fun campaign called Burn Watch, which is a little bit of a play on Baywatch. I'm not sure if anyone's seen it, but you can go to burnwatch.com and you can become a certified burn guard yourself. But it was an awareness campaign. It is an awareness campaign that we run to help educate people on the importance of skin cancer prevention. There are more deaths each year in Canada from melanoma than there are from drowning. So the most dangerous part of going to the beach in the summer isn't actually the water, it's the sun. We often go to the beach and see people laying out to try and get that tan. As a result, they tend to get sunburnt instead. It's skin damage, and you get enough of those sunburns, and that increases your chances of skin cancer quite quickly. We really wanted to educate people that the most dangerous part of going to the water is actually the sun. So we had medical students who were burn guards instead of lifeguards, educating beachgoers on the importance of skin cancer prevention. Another great project for our young folks is called our Sun Guardians program. It's sunguardians.com is our .ca is our website. And we provide youth programs in underserved communities with access to sunscreen, UPF swimsuits, hats, shade structures, UV color changing bracelets, and also a program for daycares and summer camps, as well as youth recreation centers to learn how to keep kids sun safe and how to create sun safety policies for their programs.
Interesting. I like that. I didn't know about the second one, Falyn, because I think, just kind of alluding to what I said about earlier, about how like as a kid, I always felt like resistant to sunscreen and SPF because like I didn't like the way it felt, which is such like a simple way of viewing it. But as a kid, that's the only thing I'm thinking about because I think I'm invincible, right? I'm a 10-year-old, whatever. But I'm keen to see what we can be doing to encourage and foster sun protection, methods and activities with children, because they don't think of it the same way someone like Dave or I or yourself would, right? Like how. What barriers exist in terms of having kids and young families get more educated on that? Like, how do you, aside, I guess, these activities, but like, how do you do that even?
I got an idea.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of misnomers. There's a lot of misnomers about, about sunscreen and misinformation. A lot of people think, oh, the darker my skin is, I don't need sunscreen. So you see a lot of, and it's also about modeling behavior, right? So if you get a parent or a teacher who thinks, oh, I don't need sunscreen, the kids are less likely to wear sunscreen. So, it's really, one is modeling the behavior. Two is getting people to understand that sunscreen is for everybody. It doesn't matter how much melanin your skin has, how dark your skin is. You still need sunscreen. Still need to cover up. Really getting kids to understand the importance of sunscreen by helping to show them. So there's a lot of great kids TV shows. I've got two little ones now, and we watch some TV. Those Coco Melon episodes, Peppa Pig episodes, that really talk about the importance of sunscreen. We've also got a great video that we created with the Fuddles a few years ago that talks about the importance of sunscreen. The other thing that's cool, and Chris, you mentioned even the feel of your sunscreen. Well, sunscreen's changed a lot over the last few years. There are so many formats. I have a spray for my kids for their body, and I have a stick for their face, because sunscreen tends to run in your eyes, right? If you put on a cream or a spray, but the sticks don't run as much, and they kind of stay in place. So it's nicer, and it's also easier for the kids. A lot of the programs won't apply the sunscreen for your kid once they get to a certain age. So you have to teach your kid how to apply the sunscreen themselves. The sticks are really easy. There's also roll-ons for kids too, which are great. They're really easy to teach the kids how to apply themselves, and they feel nicer on the skin. Some nice changes in the sunscreen formats and market really mean that there's a product out there for everyone, which is nice.
Well, my idea would be the opposite approach: is show them videos. I got a lot of buddies.
You want to scare the kids, don't you?
Yeah, scare the hell out of them. I have a lot of friends that get these spots. They're burned off or froze off on a regular basis. And I think if you just line up a lot of videos of people's faces being lasered and maybe like the cigarette packs have pictures of terrible cancer cases on beach balls and stuff like that. I don't know. Well, it's another word of teaching.
Might be a little visceral for an 8-year-old.
Well, I don't know. It'd be a lasting effect, right? So, when they showed me, I was in grade 5 or 4 or something like that in school, and they had the guy come around with the hole in his throat there and talk to everybody about how he's smoking. Well, that's when I decided never to smoke. Right? It was the fear, instilled young, of the results of doing a thing. Right? So, anyways, I believe in that.
Different approaches, I guess, Dave. But
traumatize them.
I think that might work for teenagers, but I think my kids who are quite young, that would be terrifying.
It would be terrifying, Dave.
I would do it with my kid. I would do it with my kid. I just would.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But I didn't.
There you go. It's cool because I don't know about I have adopted a body screen. I have a sports screen in case I'm sweating or I'm swimming. And then I have a face cream, which I swear by, and they have we're not sponsored by any kind of SPF brand. However, we're always listening. But they have changed in terms of how they feel. Maybe is this me being a more of an irritable kid, but I remember how oily they made me, and I was I'm already sweaty. I was more prone to sweating more. I didn't like the way it felt, and now I feel better than if I were to not apply it, and I just feel the warmth that I'm sweating. I almost feel kind of more moderated, I guess. Is that the right way of saying it? I don't feel quite as hot at the touch. And for me, that's a good enough reason right off the bat. Just be okay, I just don't want to be as warm when I'm doing something outside, like doing yard work, playing softball, going for a walk. It just makes me feel better.
I'd rather wear a light white old cotton shirt, long sleeve, than put anything on me. So I'd rather go that route myself, but I guess everybody has their own way to do it.
And that's fine. And they make great UPF apparel and UPF sleeves. We sell them on our website as well, the sleeves.
What's the difference with the UPF? How do they make that different than So
UPF is so it's basically protection built into the clothing. It's woven into the fabric of the clothing. And they sell them in kind of all shapes and sizes. You can get UPF hats, you can get UPF shirts, you can get UPF pants. There's a ton of different brands out there at all different price points and all different styles. And there's also UPF swimsuits, which are super important, especially for the kids. Those are 3-piece swimsuits that tend to have sleeves, and they come with a hat. Definitely recommend those. If you can't, get something UPF, if you hold the fabric up to a light and you look through it and you can see through it, the sun's rays can get through it. So it's just good practice to, hold it up to the light and see. But a thick woven fabric, even if it's not UPF protective, is okay as well.
So I'm looking at Dave's shirt, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. We edit this out in post if it's a different partner. But correct me if I'm wrong, Falyn, but is Columbia not a line brand or sponsor with Melanoma Canada in terms of making UPF?
Yeah, so Columbia has been a long time supporter. Not every shirt they make is UPF protective, but a lot of them are. They're one of the first to make UPF protective clothing, and they do it very well. So you can usually look on the tag of the clothing; it'll tell you whether or not it is. And Tilly also makes some great hats, UPF protective hats as well. And yeah, there are a number of brands out there now doing it. We also work with, I was talking about the bathing suits, UV Skins. They sell them at Costco, and they do a 3-piece bathing suit from 12 months up to 5T for kids that are fantastic as well.
I say this because I'm not sure if you're able to kind of keen in, but my lovely co-host here, Dave, is wearing a Columbia shirt. And I remember through fundraising efforts and through reaching target goals, we got some Columbia stuff, including the hats. And again, like I allude to my mom, who's gone through her story and her struggle. She loves these articles of clothing. She'll wear them while swimming. She'll wear them while doing backyard yard work, while also using SPF because she knows she's a higher risk. But it does help her because it doesn't feel as heavy, but it still gives her that protection that she needs, right? And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I got this already queued up, ready to go.
Good eye. Good eye. Yep.
Staying alert of it. But
I'm going to go check out my uncle's old white cotton shirts. I don't spend money unless I have to, so I'm going to check them out.
Well, maybe I'll keep an eye out for you too, because I got some connections. But
yeah, you can sponsor my yard shirts if you want.
But no, I mean, I think these are important conversations to have.
Yeah, I think so, because guys like me don't think about this stuff very often.
I mean, I think there's a part of that is also, talk about generational differences, right? I mean, you're an older man than me.
I'm twice as old as you.
I know, right? You wouldn't look it though, Dave. But I remember, in terms of some of those seminars that we've had, in the past with Melanoma Canada about, how younger people, my generation, they're more inclined to do tanning beds and the risks that come with that. I've never used a tanning bed before, but like more of my generation is using that for, myths of like, well, it's better if I go to vacation if I already have a tan, or, I want this look. I'd imagine, Dave, and you don't have to paint a picture for us, but I'm assuming you probably haven't been in a tanning bed. I would probably know what 5 people off my hand that have.
I have one tanning bed story.
Oh my God.
I do. I have one tanning bed story, and it was a bit of a hoax. It was done as a hoax, and I don't think I'm going to tell it.
Okay.
But only once, and no, that wouldn't be something I'd ever think of doing. No.
Yeah, there's just different risk factors for, I think, from what I understand at least, and.
Donald Trump can have all the tanning bed practice times if he wants them.
Well, it sweats though. Like I don't even know if it's. I mean, whatever it is, he's got his own challenges. But
his eyes are white like this, so he must have those cups on his eyes, and he must. Anyways, we're getting into that.
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, I mean, like I always try to have like proactive conversations. I never ever want to come off as, I don't want to say preachy or like self-righteous, because everyone has their agency of choice, right? But like knowing what I know and knowing what my mom has gone through and others have gone through, and just how much the conversation of this has changed, I don't mind talking about this in a way that's.
I do have one question. It might be outside our expertise here, but a lot of people are inking up and doing sleeves and entire changes to their.
Are you talking about tattoos?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So tattoos. Is there any link to damage to the skin through sun based because of what they do with the ink and the tattoos? Just a question I have.
So it just makes it harder to see the moles or lesions when you're tattooed. It doesn't. I don't believe tattoos increase or decrease your chances. It doesn't change your skin composition. So, I think it just makes it harder to detect. And so I think it's important to make sure if you're tattooed, you're really checking your body well. We often ask people who are in the tattoo industry, if you see a mole, that you don't like, say something, right? If you're a hairdresser, because it can be in the scalp. If you're a manicurist, or you're doing manicure or pedicure, please tell people if you see something, because oftentimes, there are rarer types of melanomas that occur. Chris mentioned, under your fingernails. They appear as a stripe, or a bruise that doesn't heal under a nail, right? And it can also occur on the palms of the hand or the soles of the feet, typically as a mole, but also, could look different. So if you see something and, you're in those type of professions, please say something to the person, so they can have it looked at properly.
Well, that's good advice. Thank you for that.
I mean, I think this whole conversation has been good advice, but that's some pertinent ones to leave on. Falyn, before we get you out of here, I'm not sure if Dave has any other questions, but I think I got most of it. But what would you say to our listeners and readers this summer and throughout the year in terms of just being more, alert, being more aware, and obviously doing proactive practices like either visiting the mobile, using active SPF? What would you say to our listeners right now this summer as we head into like a pretty warm week?
So, we like to talk about the 3 ways to block the rays. So sunscreen, sunscreen, sunscreen. Ideally, look for something that's UVA, UVB protective, broad spectrum. SPF 30 is the bare minimum. Ideally, 50 or higher. Reapply every 2 hours or more often if you're swimming or sweating. Cover up. UPF protective apparel or a thick woven fabric. Broad brimmed hat, sunglasses. Get in the shade wherever possible and stay out of the sun during those peak UV hours between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. As far as early detection, your body best. Check your body monthly. You can sign up for our full moon skin check at melanomacanada.ca. We send you a little reminder every month with the full moon to do it. And that sun safety is all year long. It's not, yes, it's hot now, and so we're talking about it, but all year long, these are things you need to practice. Incidence rates for melanoma have tripled over the last 30 years. We're losing 3 to 4 people each day in this country to a largely preventable cancer. So please take sun safety seriously, model it for the next generation, and talk to your loved ones if you see something on their body as well. The majority are found by a patient themselves or by a loved one. Talk to them because, helping them get it detected early can save their life.
Perfect. I think those are great ways to enjoy summer, winter, all season long, and just be mindful, right? So, Falyn, thank you for joining us. It's always nice to see you. It's always nice chatting with you. I hope everything is well, and I'll talk to you soon, I hope.
Sounds good. And come by and see the mobile when we're there at Sunset Park this week.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments or anything you want to share with us, feel free to let us know. Subscribe to our newsletter on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. Do all the good things. Again, thank you so much for listening to the Eco Essentials podcast.